Right, okay.
Just
Do
one
we
moment.
get it?
I'm just going to mute my live so that there isn't an echo. So just one moment. Here we come. We're coming on. I'm just going to mute that. Whoops. I was on mute already, actually. Here we go. Right. Okay. Oh. Here we are. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wow Live on a Monday morning. Hope everybody had a lovely weekend. Thank you for joining us from all over Glasgow and beyond. We would love to know where you're from this morning. So my name is Pasna. I run Weekday Wow Factor, and we've started Wow Live to actually connect with more people using Facebook, because we know we've got quite a lot of people who follow us, and it would be nice to connect with folk. And this morning, we're going to be talking about bone health and bone aging, as well as falls awareness. So I've got some guests today. We've got Dawn. Dawn Skelton is actually Professor Dawn Skelton from Glasgow Caledonian University. Thank you very much for joining us, Dawn. Dawn's an exercise physiologist. Yes, the sun's shining really beautifully on you this morning, Dawn. And we have Anne, who's my colleague at Weekday Wow Factor, and has been doing some work over the last few years during lockdown over Zoom, mainly carrying out the daytime discos. So we really appreciate Anne's support through the years. Anne is also a mindfulness teacher, so she's got lots of different skills to bring along. So lovely to have you. And we have Valerie this morning. Good morning, Valerie. How are you doing? You okay? Valerie is one of the participants at Weekday Wow Factor, and she's joined us over well before COVID, actually. We met up at one of our daytime discos as well. And Jeanette, thank you very much for joining us. Morning to you too. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And we met during lockdown over Zoom, and then we've met face-to-face at our Weekday Wow Factor activities. So that's just fantastic to have you on board. So I'm going to just start off with the question and answer sessions, if that's okay. So the reason that Weekday Wow Factor was set up was to enhance physical health, mental health, and social health and well-being. So some of the fundamentals of that is obviously around health and wellness. And today we're going to discuss, bone health. What's that? What's meant by bone health and aging, Dawn? Would you mind expanding on those terms?
Sure. Well, just like anything, as we get older, as from a child and we get into adulthood, things sort of settle down and we get, if you like, our structure for life. So our bones generally have been laid down and are a level that we are going to live with for our adult life around about the age of 25 to 30. So at that point, that if you imagine that bone is in constant turnover, interestingly, a bit like your skin. So it's in constant turnover. And up to about the age of 25, 30, it's a bit like having a set of weighing scales where you've got a little bit more growth than you have eating away. So eventually you'll get more and more bone, and then you stabilize round about 25 to 30. And then most of us, sadly, you'll start seeing a little bit more chewing than adding of bone. So you'll start seeing a bit of bone thinning. And essentially, for most of us, that's not going to be an issue. Our bones will get a bit weaker as we get into advanced age. But the thing is, if we do enough activity to keep that balance just about even, rather than it's tipping and you losing bone. And so with aging, essentially the main thing to do is to be active. That's what's going to make the big difference to maintaining bone.
Oh, thank you very much for explaining that. How did you find that description, Jeanette? Any comments about that?
I totally agree with Dawn. Yes. I think the older you get, your bones are not as strong as what they should be, and and you have to either take supplements or eat better or whatever to help.
Yeah, and being active is a good preventative way.
That is where the Wow Factor those all the
Then, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
ticks all the boxes.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Jeanette.
You're welcome.
Valerie, any thoughts here?
Well, I hadn't realised that bones would renew the way skin does. I mean, how naive am I?
Absolutely. We're all learning
So
every
it's
day,
been a
aren't
bit of
we?
education this morning, definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Always learning for Dawn. I'd known Dawn when I was at university, and I remember her talking about the same subject at that time, and nothing's changed across those subjects, but just the awareness. It's just really good to highlight that again. Yes, okay. Thank you for
Believe
that.
it or not, about every 10 years, we completely renew our skeleton. So it's really quite fascinating. The annoying thing is that the body has a habit of putting back some of the old errors and cracks and breaks that you had before, and the scar tissue that stays there. So you remember, your body remembers all the things that you've done to it over the years. So if you've had old breaks when you were a child, if you've broken an ankle or a knee or a leg, quite often you'll find that when you get into your 70s and 80s, you get a little niggle, and it's as if your body's gone, aha, you see, you forgot you broke that leg, didn't you, all those years ago?
That is fascinating. Yeah, sorry, what were you going to say there, Dawn?
I was going to say, so the main thing we need to do is constantly remember, because they're silent, aren't they? We don't see our bones. It's not like our skin, which we can see is sagging, and we might put a bit of cream on it. For our bones, we don't see it. So we need to really be conscious to do the things that are best for our bone. I'm doing a bit of that now. I've got the sun hitting me, and sun is great for turning your foods into an active form of vitamin D that your bones need. So a bit of daylight, sunlight's a really good thing. And then, of course, as we heard from Jeanette, some people take supplements to make sure you got enough calcium and vitamin D coming in through your diet as well. But essentially, one of the main things is being on your feet as often as possible. That's going to make a difference to bone hugely.
Fantastic. Anne, have you got any comments about this subject?
Just picking up on what Jeanette had said, like it's really important, like the way that we eat as well, and the supplements, and so the supplements are there for, like, maybe I'm noticing like a lot of busy mums, a lot of busy people are now like taking supplements, but it's good to get back to, and this is where mindfulness comes in as well, coming back to mindful eating and being present and preparing the food, because there is such enjoyment in doing that, like picking and choosing the food. And I know that myself, and I'm not a huge fan of internet shopping, because I like to pick my own food. I like to actually pick the vegetables, the fruit up and see it myself. And other people, they prefer, because they've got busier lives. We've all got a degree of busyness in our lives, but I think it's so important to go back to way back to the basics and pick and choose what we're eating, that we're putting in our bodies as well. And again, just as Dawn's saying, like the sunshine is so good, the vitamin D is so good for us, especially here in the west of Scotland. And a lot of people will be joining us who won't be from here, but I'm finding it a lot when I'm speaking to doctors as well, that they're saying that there are more people that are on supplements for vitamin D, because we don't get a lot of the sunshine, and we spend a lot of time on our computers as well, which is, it's indoors. So yeah, so just adding that to it as well, just again what Jeanette's saying, the importance of the food, what we're eating as well, and eating the right things. Yeah,
thank you for that. Yes, yeah, you were talking about mums there, and the same applies to older adults as well. If you're over the age of 50, just to try to eat fresh food if you can. And I know it's not always possible for to step out to their shop, because there might be a distance, or there might be mobility issues and things. But where you have a level of choice, whether there's carers or family members, and just to remind yourselves that how healthy it is to have some little bits of fresh fruits and vegetables if you can, whether if it's a wee tangerine or some cheese. Yes, go ahead.
Pasna, it's really important to think about your vitamin D and calcium. So your vitamin D is oily fish, dark green veg, making sure that you're having lots of fruit as well. And for your calcium, apart from obviously dairy products, which some people might be avoiding because of concerns about cholesterol, they're definitely one of the best forms of calcium. But also you've got nuts, you've got certain cereals that are fortified with calcium and vitamin D. So really important to make sure, if at all possible, that you get it from food rather than a supplement, because the research does suggest that you're more likely to turn it into an active form rather than just pee it out, which can quite often happen with supplements. So you need to make sure that your body's absorbing it. And actually we're back to being physically active, because if you take supplements and you're sedentary, you are less likely to absorb the supplements. You're more likely for it literally just to come straight back out again. So being active means that you're more likely to pull that vitamin D and calcium into the right places in the body that it's needed.
Very interesting, Dawn. What I'm hearing here is that the holistic approach is really important. You've got what's going inside your body and what you're doing with it. It's all like a rounded picture. Okay, thank you for that. This really nicely brings us on to falls prevention. I know it was Falls Prevention Week last week, and sorry we couldn't discuss this last week just because of the timing in regards to the Queen's funeral. So we were honouring that last week. But this week, if you don't mind telling us a wee bit about Falls Awareness Week and why it's so important.
Of course. Do you know the first Falls Awareness Week that I was involved with was 20 years ago today? So we are, for a long time we've known, or certainly the NHS has known, that falls are preventable. It's not just automatic that we're going to fall because we're old. And the issue we have really is to get other people to appreciate they're preventable. But more importantly, once somebody starts having a few falls, quite often they retreat back and they do less activity because they think that by doing stuff they're going to fall. But actually what happens is by retreating back and doing less activity, their balance and their strength gets a bit worse. So they're more likely to fall. Yeah. So main thing about Falls Awareness Week is to be aware of some of the key risk factors, things that you can do to help yourself stay upright. Yes. So strength and balance work, definitely really important. And a bit of dancing, most definitely. Coordination, head turns, that sort of thing, fabulous for balance. But we also know we need to make sure our eyesight is kept as good as possible. So that's the right glasses, clean ones, or the right prescription, and that you wear them. And particularly take care with things like bifocals on stairs, because quite often you're looking through the wrong part of the lens when you're on the stairs. So you might miss the step and miss the height. We need to know, we need to make sure our feet are in good nick. Because if our feet aren't, then our balance is bad. If we've got any foot pain or foot discomfort. And I guess the other thing is be aware of the clutter. It might always have been your clutter and you might love your clutter where it is. But if your eyesight's getting a bit worse or your balance is getting a bit worse, then perhaps just make sure you've got clear routes through your house, that not things that you're having to step over or slippy things. But really the main thing is back to keeping yourself fit and active. If you can keep your balance and strength good, you potentially can correct that trip before it becomes a fall, just like you did when you were younger. So that's the key thing.
Absolutely. For example, the autumn's coming, it's just around the corner. Is it here? There's some leaves there, and once those leaves are a wee bit wet, it can be a wee bit more slippery. And if you can do a lot of the strength and balance work, which is actually just getting up on your feet and doing activities, means that you're avoiding the fall. You might have a trip or a wee slip, but you're able to regain that balance again. So that's exactly what we're aiming for. Things like that, if they were to happen, an unexpected slip or a trip doesn't lead to that fall. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that, Dawn. Very, very important points. Yeah, we're going to have Rebecca over at Weekday Wow Factor on a Friday. She's a postural stability instructor, and she's going to take over from Bob for Tai Chi, and she's actually qualified around exercise, especially designed for falls prevention, over Zoom. So she's going to be doing Tai Chi, but she's also going to be adding some of the notes that Dawn has been talking about the importance of falls prevention. Yeah, thanks for that. Is there anything you want to add? Does anyone want to add anything in regards to falls prevention or falls?
I think what we do in Weekday Wow Factor as well, especially with the Zoom discos that we do, it's always, it's a key point to mention the safety brief. We're always mentioning that first before we get into the dance as well. And yeah, I mean, it is so important that we do move our body as well, but also make sure that we're clutter free, which is, it's great. It's so therapeutic, like having to clear the clutter as well, and around you. But yeah, we always maintain that safety brief before we get into the dancing as well. So there's always that importance, that the keynote for the clearing the clutter, make sure that you're not like dancing around any clutter that would make you fall, but also, and again with protective footwear as well, make sure you've got protective footwear inside the house and outside as well, especially with autumn coming up too.
So true. Yeah, thank you so much. I've heard over the years people who use a prescribed walking aid, they say, oh, I don't need that for dancing, I only need that for outdoors. But can't emphasize enough that actually the walking aid helps independence and safety as well, and around falls prevention. So some of the aids and adaptations around the house or elsewhere is a good idea, just to keep that balance. But it's just striking that balance too, isn't it? By taking the risks, a calculated risk, but keeping safe at the same time. Yeah, it's always something that you should really talk to your healthcare provider, if it's a physiotherapist and an OT, to talk about that and what is a safer level of risk. So we've talked about all around bone aging and bone health. Thank you for that, and falls prevention. So how can we integrate this within our day-to-day lives? So have you got any examples there, Dawn?
Yes, I do. There's a couple of things. So many people get a bit dizzy when they turn, and there's one of the things is to not avoid turning, because you may occasionally feel a bit dizzy. I know that sounds a bit strange, but actually, just like anything, if you're starting to have trouble with something, do it more often, because that way your body will actually just get used to doing it, and will practice. Practice makes perfect. So that's again why a bit of dancing is good, because you've got some turns in there. But if, for example, you want to make sure that your balance is a bit better, then why not, when you're cleaning your teeth in the morning, for example, try and stand on one leg. Make sure you got a hand near the sink as well, but try and do it on one leg while you're cleaning your teeth, because that way you're distracting, because you're not just concentrating on your balance, but you're doing an everyday task. When you're waiting for the kettle to boil, you could perhaps do some squats or some heel raises, so going up onto your toes and making sure that you take the weight through your big toe and the next toe. These exercises will help strengthen around the ankles and help balance, but you can do them while you're doing everyday tasks rather than put aside an amount of time to do them.
It's a great idea, isn't it? It doesn't feel like an exercise if you're just integrating it with your day-to-day activities. Those were some great examples. And over to you, Anne, because as much as Dawn is talking about the physical health and the physical side, what about the mindfulness side? Would you mind giving us some tips just around those two examples, with toothbrushing and with making a cup of tea? That would be really lovely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The making a cup of tea, I mean, I do this every now and again, not making the tea, but actually sitting or standing, waiting on the kettle boiling. Like, try this. I mean, actually try being mindful, like listening to the sounds, the different sounds when the kettle's boiling. Just notice when you see the steam coming out, and when you notice that sound when it clicks off. It's such a great way of bringing you into the present moment, being mindful. And the mindfulness is all about being in the present moment and doing things on purpose, but not judging it at all, not thinking, oh, this is silly doing this, or I've got other things to do while the kettle boils. But just actually being there with the kettle while it's boiling, it's actually, again, it's a therapeutic thing to do. And again, with brushing the teeth as well, just noticing what you're doing, noticing your surroundings, notice how your body feels. Are you warm? Are you cold? And even if you are doing the exercises that Dawn, the gentle exercise, like maybe standing on one foot, holding on to the sink as well, feel the sensations of the sink as it's smooth. Is it cold? And again, that's just being aware. It's introducing that awareness into that present moment, and that is being mindful.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing those thoughts. Valerie and Jeanette, do you have anything you wanted to add there about your own experiences?
I find doing the Tai Chi extremely beneficial. I'm able to now have a good balance, you know, whereas before, because I have eyesight problem, it was really difficult. But now with doing the Tai Chi with Bob, I've learned how to cope with things a lot better. And as I say, my balance. And even in, like Anne was saying, when the Awaken and the kettle boiling, you know, I'll do my breathing, you know,
Brilliant.
you know, it's
Fantastic.
you know, it's made such a change in my life. Honestly, it's just amazing. You know, it makes me feel so good.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing that, Jeanette, because there are people who may be watching and listening who've never tried Tai Chi or haven't tried certain movements. So that's really good to share that information.
Yeah.
And just to say, Dawn's got a brilliant site with her team, Make Movement Your Mission. You might have heard of it. If you would like this free resource, sorry, we can't actually see the Facebook Live just now. There might be some comments there, but just to say that if you would like that free resource, then please raise your hand with an emoji in the chat on Facebook Live. And if you're not sure how to do the hand raise, that's absolutely fine. You can just put the word yes, and we will contact you through Messenger and send you the link for that. Okay. Dawn, did you want to say a little bit about Make Movement Your Mission, please? That would be great.
I mean, the key thing about this Make Movement Your Mission actually is that it's 3 times a day, just for a very short movement snack. So 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock noon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Occasionally they're slightly different times that the guys will let people know on there if it's going to be that. But it means that you can tap in and do a live one if you wish, or you can catch up, just like you can catch up on the Wow TV after this. But the main thing is to try and make it a habit. So I always do the 8 o'clock in the morning one. I'm not so good at turning up for the lunchtime and 4 o'clock, I must admit. But we specifically, you know, the whole point is just to do things that integrate into your everyday life. So all the movements are done in someone's home. So sometimes it's the living room, sometimes it's done from someone's kitchen, sometimes it's done from their garden. But it's just various movements that you can integrate into your daily life that will hopefully help both balance but own health, but also just general physical activity health.
Yeah, just fantastic. So that's over Facebook as well, isn't it? The resource. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that. We feel with Weekday Wow Factor and Make Movement Your Mission, they kind of like complement each other. So although a lot of the things around Make Movement Your Mission you can do on your own, we are kind of like the social part of that, where we put things into action through meaningful occupations or activities, such as dancing, such as Tai Chi, where you're doing things together. And all our sessions really have a chat component. So we have half an hour of chat, just like this over Zoom, and then half an hour of an activity. You might have seen our activities on Facebook. So just a wee taster of what's coming up next week. So starting from October onwards until the end of March, we're going to have a regular Zoom session over Facebook live at 9:30 in the morning. So normally Anne and I will be there, and Jeanette and Valerie are welcome to the session as well whenever they can. And what we'll do is we'll have 4 different themes. So we'll start off with mindfulness with Anne for a few minutes to just get our mindset and our attitude for the week right, as to speak. And then we will have some physical activity, and we might actually play some tunes and have a wee dance together, whether you're in your living room or your kitchen, or even at work if you wanted a movement break. And then we're following that with hints and tips. So we're going to talk about any issues that are coming up. And the big issue at the moment is around the cost of living and to do with the energy and the cost of bills and their heating. So we're going to talk about hints and tips. So you may have some hints and tips to share with community members, and you can through the chat. So it's an exchange. So we're not looking for other organizations to come into the chat. We're really looking around peer support. So peers supporting each other, so community members supporting each other, whether you live in Glasgow or elsewhere. We're looking to do that together, a bit of camaraderie going on. And then the fourth part will be community connections. So we would like to hear from any groups that you're going to be attending, whether they're on Zoom or they're on they're in person. What are you attending this week, and why are you attending it? And again, it's a community exchange. We don't want organizations to tell us. We actually want community members to say, listen, I go to this group once a week and I absolutely love it. It only costs £2 or it's free, and I meet lots of like-minded people. Things like that. We just want to have a community exchange, and we'll talk about what activities we have. For example, this week, straight after this show at 10:30, we've got the daytime disco and chat over Zoom. And on Tuesdays, we go on our minibus adventures, and we're actually going to Châteauloux Castle? Yes, in near East Kilbride. That's where Robert's taking everyone. So it should be a good day out. On Wednesday, we've got the daytime disco in White Inch in Victoria Park Bowling Club. You're welcome to join in. Usually Valerie and Jeanette are there, and Jeanette, you're volunteering there, which is very kind. And then on Thursdays, we've got Zoom with Anne over at 5 o'clock, isn't it? Yes, on a Thursday. And on Thursday, in fact, we've got 2 other daytime discos face to face. One's going to be in Easter House, and at the same time, we're going to have one in Torrance in Eastern Bartonshire. So you'll have 3 discos on Thursday. And on Friday, we've got our first session with Rebecca, who's going to be doing Tai Chi. So it's a jam-packed session for us, but we would love to hear what else is going on in the community and what else people want to share as an exchange. Thank you very much for your time to everybody here. So Dawn, thank you. We would love to have you across again. So I'll have a look at your diaries and see if we can talk about, and if there's any topics folk want to talk about in the community, for example, menopause or any other topics, please list them. And then I'll have a chat with Dawn to see if we can frame the next session around those subjects and topics. And thank you very much for your time as well. Valerie and Jeanette, thank you very much for your time, and see you later on.
Thank you, it's been good.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Have a great day and a good start to the week. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.